Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, say this is the morning podcast with Jacob and Ethan.
This is hell.
Well, and my thing is when I watched them when I was like in junior high school, so I watched them kind of piecemeal for one, and two, people were like, even my sister was always like, "Why are you watching The Office so much? You watch too much Office."
I know that's one thing where you were ahead of the curve too, because I thought that shit was the worst in high school, and then when Netflix came, it must have been Netflix that made it popular for everybody.
Right, because I was balls deep in The Office, and everyone is giving me like, "Yeah, you can't watch it inappropriate, and you shouldn't. It's not funny. It's a weird show." And I stopped watching. I was a regular viewer until about the start of season 4, or actually maybe through the end, because I watched the company picnic one live. So I watched them as they came out.
Yeah.
But I never actually got the full effect, because somewhere around like season 4, somewhere in season 4, I started to kind of drop off where I wasn't watching it weekly, and then I just completely lost the thread and never watched anything in season 5 or after that. So I'm kind of like fixing past wrongs here. Yeah.
When Michael left, I stopped watching, and I'm happy I did. And I've seen bits of other episodes.
I hear season 8 is just a train wreck of a...
Yeah, it's like after Michael leaves, it's not, or at least it takes him a while to get back on the right track. Because there's 2 or 3 seasons after that.
There's 2. Yeah, they have that's in the middle of season 7. Then they have a whole season 8, and then season 9's the last one.
Yeah.
You just wonder. It just seems like they're resorting to gimmick. Like that's the thing I picked up on, like in season 6 now.
Yeah,
is that they're just really resorting to gimmicks to keep your attention. And so you do what you can as a writer, but that's not. I mean, that's what made it so interesting with the first ones. It's this somebody does one thing you shouldn't do in an office, and then it's just like an exploration for the next. And there's real like
when you replied to the reply all at Surtur.
Right. Right. I mean, so we had a guy, and I met him. I had worked with him, and I knew this guy. What's the big guy in The Office?
Kevin.
Kevin. This guy was a Kevin. Like I just knew meeting him. This guy was a Kevin. Anyway, someone sends this email to our little corner of the Cerner world, and this guy replies literally to the entire freaking company. and then he keeps replying. So everyone's just getting these emails, and then it's about 4 p.m. on like a Thursday, and so then one person tells him to quit replying all. And then another person sends an email, quit replying all. And then the third guy's the guy that's like, "Hey everyone, quit replying all." And then it just spirals out of control. And my contribution, I just did it all like uncaps, like unfollow. I just sent that email. But I think the best one.
Were you trying to like be an old man?
Yes, it was some. You ever follow Drill on Twitter?
No,
I don't think anyone at I don't think anyone in the company got my humor, but so this guy does basically writes tweets as though like an old man who doesn't know how to use Twitter,
right,
and so that was kind of in the spirit of Drill, was just like this unfollow email, that was supposed to be the joke, but the best one, this guy sent a freaking Hillary meme. That was me watching all these emails is me deleting all these emails like Hillary deleted hers. And I think you could see people's profiles at the company.
Yeah.
And his was gone within a week.
But they had a company-wide meeting or something, right, on proper email etiquette after that.
Yeah, I think.
And then they used your picture as like the example of somebody that shouldn't respond to everybody.
Somebody. So I said the unfollow, and then somebody screenshot my email, and then did did like a list of arrows and like step 1, step 2, like over the top of my like email of like how to like. There's a button I guess you can click to unfollow an email thread, which right after they sent that reply to mine is how like it started becoming better because everyone just started doing that. But I guess there's a way in Outlook to unfollow an email thread. But anyways, they use my freaking picture and my freaking email. So if literally under the Cerner instructions on how to remove yourself from an email, my email was the exemplar.
There you go.
I was the scapegoat.
What was I asking? Okay, so back to the original question. You think Pam and Jim were better after they got hooked up or before?
I think they're good. I just think the writers didn't, because the thing is, in the like first few seasons, there were real stakes too. Like Jim goes off to art school, and she's in art school, for most of the season, right?
Pam goes off to art school, yeah.
Right. Pam goes. What did I say, Jim?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which would have been even better.
Would have been Artie Jim. I could imagine. But there's real stakes. Like there's a whole season where Jim is dating this other girl, and it takes like a whole season for it to resolve. Where I feel like once you get past season 4, we find out Pam's pregnant, and then 3 episodes later she's married, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Or Michael starts his own paper company, and 3 episodes later it's already resolved.
Yeah.
Like the arcs become shorter and shorter and shorter, and so it feels less like real stakes.
Yeah.
And more like just like a device that writers are using to make you laugh. So it's I think the earlier parts of the relationship are written better, but I don't think for that I enjoy them.
Pam was
more.
dating or was engaged to what's his face for 2 whole seasons.
3
whole seasons.
Yeah.
So
they broke up at the end of season 2 because that's when
and then
2 whole seasons he's dating. Yeah.
Right. That's a huge deal where nothing's happening, but there's still an underlying relationship affecting everybody that whole time.
Right, and you kind of see even though the thing is staying the same, like her and Jim's relationship is weird in season 2. You see the give and take there.
So I'm going to take you don't feel one way over the other if you like them better as a couple or before they're a couple.
I mean, I like them better as a couple, but I don't think it's written as well when they're a couple.
Yeah. I think the what? That's the AC.
That's going to be loud. All right, keep going.
Okay, well, I don't know what you want me to do. It's on auto.
All right, keep going.
No, I think they're better. I think they're funnier when they're set, not even dating or not married. Dating, they're okay, but before they're even dating, I think they're better. And then I think whoever Novak's character is with Kelly, I think they are way funnier after they're in love.
I had a white friend.
Ryan, no!
I had a white friend in college, and he was hooking up with this Indian girl, and I swear their relationship was just like Ryan and Kelly's.
Really?
They couldn't stand each other really. I mean, she was really into him. She was just goo goo gaga into him. Mm-hmm. And but he couldn't stand her at all. And then but whenever they got together, it was about 10 seconds before they would just start making out with each other, every time. Mm-hmm. And then he would just hate himself. and then she would be even more in love with him. Give me your take on The Office. I just gave you my take. Give me your take on the La Oficina. I don't know.
What are my favorite things that happen in The Office? I think one of my favorite things is when Dwight and Jim hate each other, and then when Dwight's going through a crisis, I love it whenever Dwight takes a break from being an annoying friggin' git to caring a little bit. There's when Pam is in turmoil because her and Jim aren't going to be together, or she made a mistake. I forget what it was. She said no to Jim or something. She feels horrible about it. And then Dwight comes over there. She's crying. He puts his jacket around her, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. This annoying guy he actually has feelings. He's like, there, it's okay.
Yeah.
Is it your time of the month?
No, I remember that.
the best joke in the freaking series, or at least that season. I like the Christmas party episode with the snowman, Dwight and Jim. Dwight's terrorizing Jim. I'm trying to think of my favorite. I really do not like Michael the character, but like he makes the show.
Yeah, he definitely he's the glue that holds together the show, definitely. I think there's something to be said too, like that is one thing that the show does really well too, is that you have the main characters and their main relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, there's this whole like Michael and Pam's relationship is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight and Jim's relationship's a really interesting one. Like there are these like the characters all like in a real office, right? Like you have relationships with a whole lot of different people, and those go through ups and downs too. So
yeah, that's you don't really love The Office until you're in the professional world a little bit.
Sure.
Now I'm telling you, like you appreciate The Office much more because you've been at Cerner. I appreciate The Office a lot more since I've been through or vice versa. Just a boss that's screaming at everybody. I don't know. I loved it.
I do have to say, I think I do like the whole thing where Jim eventually like just becomes more and more like Michael over the course of the series.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like I never would have thought of it, but it fits. Like, yeah, he just keeps pranking Dwight. Like he's this guy. He was always a Michael. He was always a young Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's better than Parks and Rec easily.
Better than Parks and Rec.
Mm-hmm. The best series I've ever watched from beginning to end, believe it or not, Scrubs.
Scrubs. You watched The Wire? Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
You think Scrubs was better?
Way better.
Defend that position, sir.
Okay, so like with Breaking Bad, I think the allure there is that people have good intentions and do horrible things because of that. And you know that, what's his name? Mr. White?
But don't you think he was always evil all along? Like,
No.
he was always bad?
No. I think he was indifferent most of his life, which made him a pathetic human being. And then he got horrible news that he had cancer. And so that caused a movement to do something good, to make some money for his family. Either that or made him it made him move. So he did a horrible thing with the disguise that he was doing it for the right reasons. And I think one of the parts that I thought was interesting with it is like, okay, what's the balance between, does he really want the good aspect of this over the bad, or does he just want the bad under the guise of the good to make it feel better?
You mean, is he looking for like, is it really all about the benefits he's bringing his family, or is it more about the thrills he's getting by doing these acts? Like, what is it really about for him?
Right. I mean, it's a bad thing, and nobody would disagree with that. But like in his mind, yeah, is it either the good that he's trying to seek with it, or the bad that comes along with it? So like, I like that, but it's not everybody's problem. Like dealing with meth, like. Scrubs is better because it's just literally death all the time, but it's an everyday occurrence. Like, that's more interesting to me, that those people deal with horrible tragedy that are like common, that you're most likely, it's easier to sympathize with that because it's everyday life. Dealing meth is not for everybody.
Dealing meth is not, well, it's not for everyone. It's a certain cohort that, you know.
Plus, Scrubs is funny. That's what it's a comedy.
Yeah.
And Breaking
Seinfeld
Bad is not a comedy, although it is funny.
I mean, Breaking Bad is okay. If on your second watching of Breaking Bad, you do realize it's written like a comedy. It's written like a Kafka novel.
Yeah.
That it's actually very funny. It's like weird but true, and you realize it. If you watch it and look for it, you see it everywhere. It's like they're definitely trying to do a Kafka here, where like. If you give the synopsis, it's horrible.
Horrible, bitch.
I'm done. I'm retiring.
What was I gonna say?
But better than Seinfeld?
No.
Scrubs.
Right. Story is way better in Scrubs. There is no story in Seinfeld, but that's why Seinfeld's freaking gold.
You know, dude.
They made an adventure every freaking episode.
It is
artistic as shit.
It's just all joke. I mean, they must. I don't know how much time they spend in the writers' room, but it must to make those plots every episode. Guess they had Larry David though.
Dude, that would be horrible. That would be horrible. I think working with Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David would be horrible.
I don't see how those
to
two
be
work
that
together.
funny every episode, that's so much energy. Like being comedic, like takes a lot of derogatory energy.
Yeah.
And dude, yeah, just to produce episode after episode like that, I don't know. That's
how do you feel about Arrested Development or Curb Your Enthusiasm? You watched either?
I watch episodes out of both. Not a fan. Curb Your Enthusiasm's better. I like that.
I do like. You see the Crazy Eyes Killer?
That
was. He's trying to get Larry David to say the N-word. So it's this episode where he goes to this rapper's birthday party. He's trying to get Larry David to say the N-word. Like, are you mine? Larry, are you mine? And, yeah, I'm your. Larry's saying it. It's just this. I mean, it's just great. It's pretty good. It's my favorite.
Have you ever had that?
Where what?
Where black people are trying to get you to say the N-word?
No, I've never had that. I did once at a party because he was obviously not from the U.S., but they were playing Ends in Paris, you know, the Kanye and Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And every time the N-word came up, he wasn't even like, because there, you go to parties and people will say the N-word in college during a song. He was like, he was saying with a little too much gusto, and I was an upper level member in the band at that point. I was like, dude, you gotta
lay off
do that.
a bit.
Yeah, you gotta lay off the N-word.
You're reaching for the forbidden fruit.
You're a little too into it for Mike. I like freshman year I would say the N-word at a song because I thought I gotta just say all the lyrics, and then
like by yourself.
Well, if I was just at a party and I would rap, that was how I got girls in college, was knowing the lyrics to rap songs.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, and what was I going to say? It was like, once I got done working up in the Bronx, like once I started, I realized I just stopped it after that. I don't know what mental line of logic, but something about working up there, like, I mean, there's certain, it's very hurtful to some people, I guess, and so it was like, you know, and if to them I should never say it, I guess I defer to them. I do, though.
Was there anybody that wanted you to say it real bad?
No, that wasn't. Do we want to bring up the time someone wanted you to say it real bad?
Yes.
Okay, tell this story.
Besides everybody in freshman year, my sophomore year at Garden City, there's a guy who... But that dude was a D lineman, and I was a fullback. And every time we hit his helmet, we get close to my ear, he said, "Say it. Say it. Call me up. Call me it." No. Oh, shit. Take that name out. And then and then we'd be playing zombies. He'd come over to the apartment, like shoot zombies, and he'd bring I don't know what his name was, another black dude, and we'd be shooting the shit out of zombies, and then he's just like, "Say it, say it." These zombies are everywhere. Yeah, he wouldn't have done anything if I'd said it, but. Yeah. He just really wanted to hear me say it. I don't know why.
Well, you know, I will say, and either of us are black, if you can't tell. And we probably should get a black person on the podcast for this, or just have a black person in the room. But I think you shouldn't do it in day-to-day life. But I do think if you're making art, if you're making something, like, I think there's something wrong with being scared of a word. Right now, we're not saying it because we don't want to be crucified. Right. But I think there is a place, like if you're making something, I think there's a place for it. I think it's not good to be scared of a word. I think that's not good for anybody because that just increases its power. And so I'm of the opinion that in terms of like art, you know, or if you're like, you know, in like terms of like It's Always Sunny, you know, or 30 Rock when they're using blackface and making fun of people who don't really get why they shouldn't. Yeah. Like, I think it has its place. I don't think in day-to-day life, but I do think it's defensible.
So it is defensible. And like
in that
art.
situation. Like
Yeah.
if you have a really racist character, like Huck Finn, like the N-word in that story, like makes it like that's it's like he doesn't ever come out and say like, oh, this place is racist, but you just there's so much of it in there. You like just realize that this is really about race, even if he never really brings race up once in this whole story.
Yeah. I mean, along the lines of that, I think there's been some horrible things because of art. Like, art is the ultimate expression of free speech, right?
Sure.
Or no? Yeah.
Ultimate expression of self.
So somebody else's art that's too extreme or something that's taboo that's made. I'm just thinking of like there was a piece made at the Met where it had like the Virgin Mary, and they took a whole bunch of cow shit and human shit
I don't
and
think
put it all over
the
that.
Met though.
Where was that at?
I don't remember. I know which one you're talking about, but
Like it's people are like, oh yes, this person can do this, but I think everybody was like, you can, but it's just not good.
yeah, I think it's also it's funny too how like when that sort of thing happens with Christian, like a Christian iconology,
Yeah.
someone defaces it for the sake of art, like it's allowed, but when it comes to like Islam, like nobody's gonna praise the guy who makes a funny drawing of Muhammad, because that doesn't. I mean, it's weird. I mean, there's just a double standard here, and I think it's also interesting where everyone's like, yeah, let's praise the Velvet Underground for making a song about heroin, and let's praise so and so for putting sex in the music and in the film, and then let's praise John Updike for putting real sex in the books. Which, like, I'm not saying I disagree with that opinion, but I think there's something hypocritical when it bothers me when people don't have a consistent basis from which they argue, because if you're both saying, okay, we should praise these things, but the modern day taboos are not things we can explore and push.
Yeah.
Like you're not being consistent. You're being quite inconsistent. Like either you need to say, okay, like taboos need to be respected and not delved into with art, whatever the taboo of the day is, or you're saying it is art and art's duty to push taboo. Like it's one or the other, people. You can't have both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, and then that's a clear sign for me that somebody's just towing the party line. You know what I mean? That they're getting their marching orders from Variety or whatever website, the Daily Beast, HuffPo, whatever they're reading. It's just you're just getting your marching orders from that. You're not thinking for yourself.
That is talking about art.
Dinosaurs. Jurassic Park's a little overrated, don't you think?
I'm gonna beat you to death. I'm gonna beat you to death with this podcast, Mike.
Why don't you? I don't know.
Because it's in Ethan's top 5 movies of all time.
Jurassic Park's okay.
Jurassic Park's better than you will ever be. No, dude. It's in my top 5. Jurassic Park formed me as a young man. When I was 6 years old, I didn't want to be a policeman when I grew up. I didn't want to be president. I wanted to be a freaking velociraptor. I remember, because this is how I started watching Jurassic Park. I was 6 years old. I was in my mom's in mom and dad's room upstairs, and it was in Elmo, and like the TV, I was changing channels, and then I got to the scene where the velociraptor's attacking that woman in the basement, and
you mean like toward the end where like she's trapped?
Yeah. So she's like, oh, thank goodness you're here. Then she turns around. It's just the dude's arm. And I was sitting there, and I looked like I was possessed. I jumped up and down. I was running around the place. Thing starts attacking her. I was like,
like you were scared or you were excited?
But I couldn't look away, so I had to run around and jump off everything. It just started whooping and hollering. And man, I loved it. And then I don't remember the first time I watched it from beginning to end, but from that moment, I was like, I love this. I love dinosaurs.
Well, I think there's something to be said too, like in that era when they were using a lot of animatronics, they couldn't just CGI everything. Like,
yeah,
like it's like when you can CGI everything, it's not as realistic because you have to be creative. Like it forces you to be creative when all you have are these little robots. But then somehow that like makes it better because then like you only show viewpoints and scenes where this looks really realistic.
Well, I think and I think you would agree with this. The actors do better too.
Yeah, because you're actually acting off of something that's there.
Right. Even if they're still using their imagination for a lot of it, because with CGI, you're using your imagination to picture what the villain looks like, or whatever's getting
Right.
put in digitally. But with robots, like there's a scene in Jurassic Park where the T-Rex busts through a car and there's 2 kids in there.
Yeah.
Those are the kids actually screaming because they didn't tell them that the T-Rex is going to break the glass. And it broke the glass. They put up their hands and they are scared. That is real fear. Now, that's also like torture. That's
Right.
torture.
That's torture.
But like those kids are like, holy shit, this thing is real. And so that's one kind of neat part about Jurassic Park. But like, yeah, even when the main actors are looking at animals or like touching them or whatever, like it's easier for them to act off of it because you can see it in their eyes, like they're seeing what you're seeing.
Right, definitely. It's also got a Jeff Goldblum.
That's his only. Okay, actually, sidebar here. Why is he famous?
So the internet loves Jeff Goldblum. I think because of his personality. He's kind of quirky, but also so he was in The Fly, which is a David Cronenberg film,
right?
Which supposedly I haven't watched that, but it's a classic. Supposedly,
I've seen a bit of it.
He's also a like very good jazz musician.
Really?
Yes. He's released one album, but I guess he's like an actual jazz musician.
Wow.
So the man seems to be just one of those.
That's the thing. Like, I think everybody likes him. They know who he is, and he's like a hip old guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got that from his acting career.
I think,
which now I can see there's more.
He's one of those guys where I can't even like. He's got like that's his personality. I guess like in real life, he's just got one of those personalities that's just like people are gonna love you anyway.
Like a Bill Murray kind of thing.
Yeah, like oh man, big Bill Murray fan.
Really?
Yeah, you love Bill Murray.
You know who else is
Groundhog Day is just.
But I could get Bill Murray because he's funny in other stuff.
Yeah, Ghostbusters. So that whole script, I think I've told you this. Like that was pretty much all his parts were ad lib.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Which is you could see because his parts in there are like almost lazy every time, like lazy sarcastic.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that plays in House? Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
That's not Hugh Grant, is it?
No, it's Hugh Laurie.
Hugh Laurie. So you could appreciate him acting in other movies, but I love House. Because, one, he's an asshole. People love the show House, and they don't like Trump. That's where I think there's the two-sided American is that we love sarcastic assholes, but we hate our president. Like, we don't know how he got elected.
Dude, look, if you're someone who's out there who's hating on Trump and you don't think Trump's funny, you're just a liar.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, deranged psycho Bette Midler just might be the greatest series of 4 words someone's ever put together.
He visited Greenland about drilling for oil up there.
To buy Greenland.
Well, he went and talked to Denmark, and then he sent a tweet that was like, "Hey, Greenland, I promise I won't do this," and a super shitty picture of I forgot what you call it.
Trump Tower. He
cut it out and put it on ice. He's like, "I promise I won't do this in Greenland." That is funny.
That's fun. I mean, also his freaking tariffs are coming. He did a great Game of Thrones meme with Game of Thrones meme where like he was like instead of winter is coming, he put tariffs are coming.
Really?
When the height of the trade war. Like that shit's funny. I mean, I don't want him for a second term, but he's funny. I'll admit it.
Oh yeah. What was I gonna say? So yeah, that's the House. Why people like House. That guy is a really good. He got into jazz and he's actually okay.
Yeah,
Hugh Laurie.
I guess the guy that made Family Guy, Seth I don't know how you say his last name.
MacFarlane.
Yeah, I guess he's actually like a very good singer. He has several albums of him singing.
Well, kind of like this podcast where we were singing last week. He's like that. He's a comedian, but then he does singing parts in Family Guy, and it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You could tell that from just Family Guy.
Yeah, so I'm trying to... There was some point I was going to make relative to Jurassic Park, but I can't remember it. Anyway.
The actors. Jeff Goldblum.
Dude,
Jurassic Park is, top five. Definitely in there. And throughout this podcast, I'm sure we'll go into detail about each one of my top 5. But what's one in your top 5?
My top 5 movies?
Jurassic Park wouldn't be even like appreciated critically for you.
No, Jurassic Park's good, man. I'm not gonna hate on Jurassic Park.
You mean like this
but
podcast,
we're getting to the end of the recording, so I think we need to.
What are you talking about?
We got lots of good stuff here.
What we got? I'm ready to talk for another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.